there are 200 ways. I want to say this to everybody right now because the Spirit is speaking to me right now. There are 200 ways for money to come into your family right now.
Right now.
There are 200 ways. All you need to do is tune into them and start deciding which ones are best for you. And the best way to do that is to tune in every day in silence for about 15 minutes and ask the question, what's a new way that I could create wealth, make money, protect my family, and give my family what they want? There are 200 ways for every single one of you to bring income in.
Mental toughness.
Listen, stop feeling sorry for yourself. Come on, man. What's wrong with you?
The mental toughness mindset.
I had to go to grow.
Stand safe.
Martin Luther King.
You got challenges that you're going to run across.
Many people wonder if there's a secret to winning lottery games. The answer is yes. Winners only Lotto. Discover how to make $1,000, $10,000, or even $225,000 daily by playing the right games with the highest odds. The games to focus on are Pick 3, Pick 4, and in some states, Pick 5. Utilizing AI to track patterns in these games simplifies winning, with millions being distributed every day. This information can be easily verified on any official state lottery website. Join today or get more information by clicking the link below. See you on the winning side.
All righty. Time for another episode of Elite Psyche, the Mental Toughness Pod, which is really the really big show. The Elite Psyche, the really big show. So on Elite Psyche, what we do is interview people who have had success in life, because we know that if you've had success, that you've had to go through a lot of mental toughness. You had to deal with a lot of things in life as you climb that ladder, and you have to be mentally strong to deal with it. So today is like, all the other shows. We got a special guest here. Guy I've been knowing probably since, I would say, 2005, maybe 2006, round about that time. Was building a network marketing team, and we were on fire, and he came in and helped us. He put gasoline on the fire. He poured gasoline on the fire, because he's probably, in my opinion, one of the top sales trainers in this country, and he can explain to you why a person needs to look at sales and understand what it is, and stop looking at it as something negative or something bad that some people look at. Because sales, actually, everything starts with a sale. Any company that you work for starts with a sale. You can't even get your salary if things are not moving, if things are not selling. That's how you get your salary, from sales. So he is we just talked about this, the third most famous MJ in the world. So I'm gonna bring him up. We got Michael Jackson, MJ, Michael Jordan, MJ, and now, folks, Mr. MJ Durkin, third most famous MJ.
There he is, the third
My
most
guy. That's it. He's ready. All right, so I have my engineer Valerie on, and Valerie she's also our sound person. So we got 3 sounds that we play. And if you hear, first of all, let's give Mr. MJ a warm round of applause, Valerie. And the crowd goes wild.
I love it. I love it.
Then we have one, if she's really excited about what you just said, play the horn. That lets you know she's excited about that. And if you say something funny, play the loud. So if you hear that, you already know what's going on here.
Okay.
All right. So, man, MJ, the last time that we actually did an interview was in the studio in Atlanta. And at that time, I probably had a little bit more hair, and your hair was a lot blacker.
Yep. Yeah, it was a lot darker. Oh yeah.
So we have matured a lot. You know what I'm saying? That had to be around 2007, I think, or 2006, around about that time. We did the interview in the studio. And I always say I was podcasting before podcasting.
Oh, yeah, you were. Yeah, you were ahead of your time, bro.
Yeah. Definitely.
Yeah.
All right, so now I got your books in front of me, man. I have Double Your Contacts. I have Activity, Hustle, and the Power of Action. You and who was
My
that?
son Corey.
That's your son?
That's my boy. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Then I got, and this is crazy. I was reading this one a while back. It didn't even go down to the bottom to know it was you. You can't get rich if you feel poor.
Oh,
Got that one.
I love that
Cold Calling for God. And you got the Durkins, the story of the Catholic family. Now, I hadn't gone through this one yet. Tell me what's in here that's going to be so exciting for me to find out about you in here.
Well, I don't know if it's exciting. It's I said on the back of the book, it's not James Bond, and it's not it's not some big conspiracy or anything like that. It's just my being raised by a great family. I was I was adopted. My brother and my sister were all adopted. I'm the oldest, and so I sat down to write my life story growing up in a great family, and that was centered around our church and our faith. And it's what you learn about me is you'll learn about a great father and a great mother and a really solid upbringing. Couple of exciting stories in there.
Okay.
One time my father and I tussled, and he showed me that he had a heck of a right hook, and was able to.
That was it. No more tussle.
It was boom, boom. Out go the light.
Sleep.
I literally said in the book, I had seen cartoon characters knocked out, and I would see the stars.
Yeah.
I remember seeing the stars, but I didn't hear any birds tweeting.
All right, man. Look, I didn't know that. That's the first I've known. I mean, because we never really talked about that. We really got right into sales. So let me ask you this, and then we're going to move on. You and your two siblings, did you know your parents at all?
No, we our birth parents gave us up at birth, and we were adopted by Catholic Charities into the family of Tom and Betty Durkin. So we never knew our birth parents, and no. So those are our parents. Those are our parents, Tom and Betty, the one who took responsibility for us and raised all three of us. Three separate families, that we didn't come from the same family. Okay. My brother was 2 years under me, and then my sister is 5 years under me, below me, and then and so each time my parents wanted a kid in the 1960s, they went to Catholic Charities, and they were investigated, inspected, and detected to be a good family of faith, and then they were given another child.
Wow.
Each time they applied, they got another one. So they stopped.
Wow. Man. And you have, I'm sure you've made them proud. Now, I don't know initially when you start talking about sales, because you know how people look at sales.
Yeah.
I don't know if they like, why go get you a real job. You know what I'm saying? What are we doing?
I'm sure that they, when they held me, when they went to pick me up, they didn't look at me and say, "Oh, look, a born salesman."
If they had said it, you would have said,
Yeah, I would have said, "Well, who knows what the future will hold?" You know, they found out soon enough I could really talk, so that was not a. My mother's nickname for me was the little old man. You know, so apparently I was
real mature then, huh?
I had the confidence at 3 or 4 years old trying to run the place. Yeah.
Well, you know, that's a good place to start.
Yeah.
How did you get into sales initially? What were you doing, and how was it? One of those, like a lot of us growing up, you threw newspapers and you had this and that. Were you like that, or what?
Yeah, my father was an executive in the insurance industry, and he sold he first sold food plans door to door, and then he sold insurance and made a
Wait a
good.
minute, what are food plans? What are those?
Food plans. So he would sell a freezer full of meat to you.
Oh, okay,
Yeah, like American Frozen Foods or Colorado Prime. He was in the first. He was in the first. He was a teacher, and then he wanted to make more money, so he applied to sell freezers full of meat.
Wow.
And he doubled his income that next year, and he went from making $3,000 a year as a teacher to making $6,000 a year as a salesperson, and he said, "This is the life for me." So,
okay, you know, around 2007, I guess around that same time, it was a guy coming in my neighborhood that was selling frozen seafood. So I love salmon, and I used to buy boxes from him of the frozen seafood until about a year later, I found out where he was getting them from. So I had to cut him out. I got me a little card that says, I'm a business owner, so then I can go in there and buy it myself. So I probably saved, I don't know, $50 a box, compared to what I was spending with him, you know what I'm saying? Right. So I found that I hate I had to cut him out, but I told him, I said, I ran across the place. He told me, he said, "Just do me a favor. Don't tell the neighbors." I said, "Okay." I won't say anything unless they ask me.
I love it.
So, high school, did you attend college or?
Yeah. I went to 2.5 years of college, and then I dropped out. Okay. And then I sold newspapers. Okay. I had a newspaper route. Route. I had a lemonade stand. Learned how to sell lemonade to the construction workers across the street that were building homes. Sold world's finest chocolate all over the place in various school drives. If you go to Catholic school, you have to be a part of fundraising. And then when I got out of college, I was looking for a job, and I actually ended up in the wholesale pump and supply business. I didn't have a degree, didn't have any skills, so most of us end up in sales.
But you can talk. I understand.
But I can talk. So
okay.
Yep.
I want to jump into the Double Your Contacts book, which is, man, this is a powerful book here, especially for networkers. Now, we also talk to just regular salespeople that might not be in network marketing, or anybody that's trying to learn how to sell, period. So as you respond to these, make sure that you're talking to them also, because we got all kind of listeners that come on and listen to some of the information that we put out. And let me ask you this too, before I get right into the questions. I know that this book was written in 2005. Mm-hmm. Things have changed now with certain things. Mm-hmm. Is it anything in here that you would say person really shouldn't use now or couldn't use now in 2020, what were we, 2023, going into 24?
No, I think the book applies. I think the difference the difference between 2005, 2006, and now is that the availability to call people on the phone and reach them live has dropped precipitously. And so you need to be smarter and in your lead production, because you used to be able to just call people up and they would pick up the phone in 2006, 2007, even 2010. But I was noticing back then that there was what I called people were putting up an electronic barbed wire around themselves. I called it the electronic barbed wire. And the first thing we had to do was we had to deal with the idea of people screening us out with voicemail.
Mm-hmm.
And voicemail, still a really well done voicemail can really get people to call you back. But I must tell you, I mean, literally, my son and I talked to a prospect today in California, and he wanted to engage our services. And he said, your subject line in your email caught my attention so much. And then your subsequent emails, which you pounded me with emails. He said, I had to talk to you guys. You guys sound like the famous line my son came up with was, he'll send an email. It says, me, he says, my dog, my dad, and my wife, and Tony Fleming. And he'll send that. He uses AI to send out like 100, 200 emails a morning, and the guy said, my dog, my dad, and my wife. What the hell's that about? He said, I had to click on that. That's a pretty headline.
Yeah.
So email, texting's the same way. A lot of times people don't. I leave some of the best voicemails in the world, but people often don't listen to voicemails these days. So that's what's changed. A lot of this book was about calling people and getting people on the phone, or even, well, not too much walking in the door, but so that's what's changed, is getting people's attention and getting them on the phone, on a Zoom, on a FaceTime. You got to get creative these days, because the electronic barbed wire has gotten pretty high. Right? Yeah,
that's pretty cool. Let me say this too, man, before we move on, because I know I'm gonna forget. I thought about this the other day, and I said I got to remind him of this and see if he remembered this. All right, so my team leader, which we would call, Bob Smith, what I'm talking about. He did a big event in Atlanta, a huge event. And I would say it might have been 3,000 people there, maybe 4,000. And he invited you in to speak along with about 6 or 7 other guys who had the stage. All right. Yeah. And that was a day where I was dealing with some real estate issues that I had invested in, and I was getting beat out of my money. So I was frustrated. I had the guy that was with me who supposedly he signed off on it and said, because he was the expert. I brought him in to view my real estate deal. And he said, this is good. Mm-hmm. So when he signed off on it, I trusted him, and the deal went bad. So that day we were trying to get over to the law firm and catch the guy who actually we signed the paperwork with. Long story short, we got over there and that guy was gone, and they couldn't find it was crazy what happened. But we were in the back of the room. And, we wasn't sitting down. We were in the back of the room getting ready to walk out. And it was toward the end. And finally, they brought you up. Like all other speakers had been up there, all of them. And you were the last one. And people were exhausted and tired. And they were selling a lot during that day, selling a whole lot. This one guy had like 2 big grocery store boxes that people were bringing money down and dropping them in the box. I mean, they was dropping. They was like, it was just dropping like in the church. They just came down and just dropped. He left out of there these 2 big grocery store boxes of money and went to his hotel room. I said, somebody gonna rob this dude. Yeah. But you came up last, and I don't know. I'm gonna tell you, if you don't remember what you said, you said that day, oh man, I had more respect for you than anything in the world. Me and my partners in the back laughing because you were 100% right on what you said. Do you remember what you said?
I'm not remembering the exact words. I remember my attitude. No, but go ahead.
Yeah, these are your exact words.
Yeah.
Because those guys were selling books and everything
courses
before you got up there. Yeah, everything. Yeah.
Yeah.
And you said, man, he said this. You said the spirit must be in the room today because I've heard a lot of stuff because everybody was relating to the spirit of, changing their mind about stuff. And so you said, my book is normally $3,000, but today and today only, I'm gonna sell it to you for $29.95. Y'all, man, that was so funny because everybody before you had been selling stuff and they was dropping prices like the Lord said this and the Lord said that.
Yeah, right.
When you got up there, you was like, this is normally $3,000. But what I'm gonna do today is today only. I know you had to be tired and frustrated because being the last person and everybody else in front of you selling stuff. I don't even know what happened that day after that because we had to get out of there.
Well, let me tell you what happened. We crushed it that day. We had a huge. We had people at our table that were packed at our table, and there was another speaker there, and he's pretty famous, so I'm not going to mention his name, but he looked pretty pissed off.
Really?
Yeah, he really did because he was
at your table.
Well, he was looking at us, and he had this little tiny group of people, and and we had everybody at our table, and he was not happy. He was not happy. He couldn't believe it. We sucked all the air out of the room.
You probably had to get him. You had to get him with that $3,000 for his book and his because they not stupid. They knew what everything was going on, and what's crazy is the guy who walked out of there with all that money. He told them that they would get this certain sales recruiting program if they came down and brought the money. So all of them came and brought the money. We didn't. We was in the back. And then once he got the money, he says, go to this website. He gave the website out so everybody who even didn't pay could go to the website. Like, everybody had that for free after he collected all those folks' money. Oh, that was crazy. But when you said that, man, me and my partner fell out in the back because I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, man, this been like 8-9 hours. Now here come MJ in the back there, and they have the Lord have the Spirit has hit everybody before you. I'm like, they could have used something else into that. I mean, everybody using the same one, but man, I swear I had more respect for you that day when you said that. I never did get back. I never said anything to you about it because we left. And we really hadn't talked about that since then. Yeah. But let's talk about the book. Okay, so in the beginning of the book, you talk about beliefs. And tell me how do you feel about your beliefs when it comes to sales? What are you talking about with that?
Well, you have to understand that we still going, Tom?
Yeah, we go. You just zooming in on you.
They're zooming in on me.
Let you have the floor.
I like zooming in. Okay. All right. Good, because it's all about me. I mean, I got a huge ego.
Okay.
So the thing about beliefs is that you as a salesperson, as a networker, you have beliefs that either support your ability to sell, prospect, and close business, or you have beliefs that will work against you and prevent you from being able to prospect, meet people, get people on a list, book presentations with them, and close them. So your beliefs are essential, and most people don't have the beliefs that will support them to succeed in selling. So in the beginning of the book, I basically put an assessment for a person to get a feel for whether or not their beliefs would help them in succeeding in selling. And it's probably one of the first prospecting assessments. What I did was I wrote down all of the trash that somebody would have. We used to call it head trash. I wrote down all of the head trash that I had heard from people in seminars over the years. And they had all kinds of head trash, like, I don't like to bother people at night. I think they'll think that I'm selling them, and they won't like that I'm trying to sell them. I don't like selling to my friends. I don't like it when my phone rings at night and people want to talk business. I'm not good at the phone. I can't sell. I hate it when people cold call me and approach me. And so this assessment, was a way for a person to kind of figure out what their beliefs were. And then I had a section in the assessment which said, how much are these beliefs costing me? And when I would do a seminar, I would run people through this assessment, and people would say they'd tally it up on the right-hand side, and they would come up with, it's costing me $50,000 a year to think this way. And then we would see how much it was really damaging. That's why the book is worth $3,000. Because when you did this assessment, you came up with a cost, and you figured out you were losing $50,000 to $100,000 a year because you didn't have the right beliefs. And so that's what the beliefs were all about. And then I gave a section, which, quite frankly, I've redone in a new book that I'm doing right now. I just had one page on rewriting your non-supportive belief systems, but that's a science unto itself. So I've taken it 17 years later. I've taken it to the next level in my new book, in my new program, which will be coming out in a couple of months. But this is a great start. This will really help you to decide where your beliefs support your ability to sell and where your beliefs do not support your ability to sell.
I mean, she feel you. Okay, good. So now, in some of my trainings that I do on personal development mindset, I talk about the childhood programming that we have, and that we need to address that. And most people have no way to address it because the school system's not addressing it. And a lot of people don't realize the things they heard growing up, certain phases in their life, that those programs are still in them. And so they need to question that. Like some of the books we read, and some questions would come up, and I would say now, what do you feel about that? Because your thought process and your mindset on how you feel about that is affecting how you move forward to have success in life. Because if you grew up in a neighborhood, middle class or poor, those were some thoughts that were given to you about success and about having success that are still there. Mm-hmm. That you have to address those thoughts and say, like you said, what is this costing me? Can I do away with those thoughts and then add some new thoughts to it? Because if not, it's there. And a lot of people, I think, MJ, the biggest challenge, people, because they feel like they did the American dream. They got a house, they got 2 cars, some flat screen TVs, they go on vacation once a year, and they feel like, hey, what else is it to do? And it's a lot more to do, but you stop at this level because of the thoughts that you have.
Well, look, the fact is that, denial is probably prevalent in everybody's life about every single thing that's going on in their life. Denial says, I'm doing fine. I'm doing okay. And I don't need to change. I mean, denial, the cloud of denial says, I'm doing just enough to get by with my health, with my marriage, with my relationship with my kids, with my spiritual faith, with my selling skills, with my business, with my income. It's if you're shrouded in the cloud of denial, thank you, Spirit. I never said it that way before.
Okay.
If you're shrouded in the cloud, holy smokes, I get a recording of this, right? Because I need
Yes.
to record it.
Yes.
Okay, good. So if you're shrouded in the cloud, you can't see that there's more for you, that there is that there is a better place for you to go to. And usually what happens, unless something triggers somebody in a usually a negative way, they won't make a decision to actually take some action. So, recently I was looking at myself in the mirror this past summer, and I realized that I had gained weight, and I was shrouded in the cloud of denial. Actually looked in the mirror and thought I looked slim. Okay. I was actually, and then one day it got and I said, that's a fat handle. That's not a love handle. That's a fat handle. Right.
Right.
And it got me upset because 3 years ago, I was like in elite shape. You talk about elite psyche. I had my psyche. I was ripped and shredded. And I said, how the hell did this happen? And it broke me out of my denial. Right. And I realized, and then I made a decision. And the decision was, I have to stop eating all this garbage that I'm eating and all this emotional eating and all this stuff that I'm doing. But I'm going to say something very important to your audience right now. Get ready for this. If there's no decision, there's no change. If there's no decision, if you don't decide, if there's no decision, you do not change. And the fact is that if there's no trigger, there's no decision. If there's no decision, you don't change. You don't take any action. So what we often try to do is we try to get people to change, like to buy our product or to join our opportunity, or to, like you said, salespeople, buy roofing, buy windows, buy insurance. But what we don't address is the fact that the person needs to actually, they need to come to what I call an emotional conclusion. They need to have an emotional conclusion that they're ready to change. If you can't get them emotionally ready to change, it doesn't matter how good your technology is. It doesn't matter if you've got the greatest supplements, you've got the greatest energy drink, you've got the greatest program for saving money, the best metal roof in the world,
solar panel.
You name it. See, what most salespeople do is they go in and they sell the drill. Okay. They sell the drill. And if you remember from years ago, there was a genius sales trainer who said 1.5 million drills were purchased last year by people in America. Not one of those people that went to Home Depot or any hardware store and bought a drill wanted a drill. What they wanted was a 1/4-inch hole.
Right.
And the reason they wanted the 1/4-inch hole was because they wanted to build a deck or a home or a playhouse or a swing set for their kids. And they wanted to build something that really meant something to them. But when people buy the drill, they're not looking for a drill. They're looking for what the drill will do for them. So what happens a lot of times to people is when they get excited about a product or an opportunity or a way of doing business, they sell the drill like crazy. Like, this is so great and the benefits are so good and the products have made me feel so wonderful. But they don't find out from the person, do they actually has something triggered them emotionally to make a decision to want to change? And I got to tell you, Tony, I'm tired. I'm absolutely done working with people that don't want to change.
All right, I got you. Right. I understand that. Yeah.
Right. So the first thing you need to do, I brought on a new client the other day. I'm coaching him. He's a friend of mine, and he wants to lose 40 pounds. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I said, done deal. But I said, I could totally do it. I totally have the technology to do it in the next 30, 60, 90 days. I said, Keith, have you hit your bottom? Have you hit your bottom? Are you really ready to change? I sent him a text and said, are you ready to change? And then I left him alone. Took him 3 days to respond. He goes, I'm ready. He goes, I'm ready. And then when I got him on the phone, I said, are you sure you're ready? Prove to me you're ready. Oh man, I'm looking at myself in the mirror. I can't fit into my clothes. I want to live a long time. He convinced me he was ready. See, he's ready. He'll have great success. You got to stop. You got to stop trying to sell the drill to people and say, I have this great thing you need, and they're not ready to change yet. If you have an opportunity, first thing you want to say is, tell me about your income. Tell me about your desires. Tell me about your life. Tell me, are you where you want to be, or are you shrouded in the cloud and you're happy? Because if you're happy, I'm taking this down the road and I'm going to go talk to somebody who wants some change.
Right. All right. And it's hard dealing with people who don't want to change, and they say they do, but they really don't. That's a battle in itself. And so, trying to get that from people, is it's something they had to come up on their own, like you said. Now, I noticed when I saw you, I said, you slimmed down, so you are slimmer than before. So even when you said you had gained, I hadn't seen you at all during that time.
Yeah, so. I used my process. I used my process to drop about 14 pounds and get ripped.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm not going to take my shirt off for your audience.
I got you. Yeah.
But
we had a guy. Go ahead.
I'm ripped.
Okay. I almost said so. I shouldn't have said that.
But I did it.
All right.
But I want to say this.
Yeah.
I did it without a coach. I literally did it myself with a good process. So most people do need a coach to teach them a process.
Right.
But once you learn the process should be self-sustaining. If you have to, go to the therapist every single year for 20 years, they're not teaching you a process to take control over your own change.
Right.
So if you engage a coach, and I recommend people engage a coach, that you engage a coach that will teach you a process that the coach doesn't need to be there every week to pump you up and to get you going. So you need to develop a process that you can do, that you can actually empower yourself on your own. Because the fact is, look, I wrote this in the book recently. I said, I was working with a client and I met with him once a week for an hour. That's like pouring water on his head for an hour, right? And he'd have some breakthroughs but what he really needed was the other 167 hours in the week. He needed to be in the ocean. He needed to be immersed in the ocean.
Baptized, yeah.
Not just 1 hour of water.
Yeah.
You got to immerse yourself in change.
Yes.
And so that's one of
the
things.
Man, I say that all the time. I said, I tell people, I said, if you get on our training calls or our Zooms or whatever, and you do that once a day, every day, it's just, it's an hour, 30 minutes, 40 minutes. And the rest of the time, if you still hanging with that same crew, you still doing this and doing that, it ain't gonna happen. You have to go and do the stuff that we talk about. You got to separate. You got to keep your head, like you said, immersed in some books or talking to a coach, or the time that you spend doing what you want to get out of life is the most important. You can't, go back and talk to Ray and hang out with them, because they work with you and all that kind of stuff. You know what I'm saying? They pouring that back into you, that little hour you just got. So I like how you just said you have to be dipped in an ocean for a while.
You got to be immersed. Look, let me say something to your audience, okay?
Okay.
I'm one of the most positive, most happy people you'd ever meet, okay? I do 2.5 hours of personal development listening per day, 7 days a week.
Yep.
I do 2.5 hours. You know how I stay so up and happy and positive? I'm immersed in the ocean. I'm not just looking at some memes on Facebook going, you need to be better than you were yesterday. Okay, great. That's BS. What you need, you have to understand something about the way we learn things. We learn things with repetition and reinforcement. I'm going to give you
All right.
I'm going to give you a very, very powerful, do not miss this. Write this down. It's very important. But repetition and reinforcement are the parents of skill. Okay, let me say that again. Repetition and reinforcement are the parents of skill. And the problem that people have is they listen to one positive audio and then they go, oh, that was great. Or they go to one positive seminar, or they go to one sermon at church and they go, boy, the pastor really brought it today. Holy smokes, he was on fire. And then they don't do anything the rest of the week. So when I get a good audio, usually ancestrally, it's one of my own audios. I will listen to the same audio 10 to 50 times, right? So I'm listening over. I can do the guys talk, but literally because I listen to it over and over. Now, how do I listen to it? I listen to it while I'm making a sandwich. I listen to it while I'm out chopping wood out in the woods behind my house. I listen to it when I go out for a run. I listen to it while I'm jumping around on my mat in my gym following Tony Horton and P90X. So I turn Tony down. I put my white earbuds in and I listen to personal development, positive talks, famous speakers, inspirational sales training, psychological talks. The other day I was listening to one about fasting and what happens to your body when you're fasting neurologically. I do 2.5 hours per day, 10 minutes here, 5 minutes here, half an hour on the treadmill. And to me, if you want to immerse yourself in positivity, I love you. You do a training call every day.
Mm-hmm.
Every day you should be either on that call or I don't know if you record it, but listening to the
playback. Yeah.
Listen to the playback and not just once.
Yes.
Once, look, you listen to something once, you will not remember, and it will not go into what I call your secret internal manager. Okay. Your secret internal manager is the part of you. Some people call that the subconscious mind. I don't want to say that because you've heard all kinds of stuff about subconscious mind for years and it won't sink in that way. But you have a secret internal manager. You first have to put a new groove in the record. Okay. First, you have to put a new groove in. Then it sinks into your subconscious mind, into your secret internal manager. Listen to this. Studies have shown you must listen to a training audio 6 times. Minimum of 6 times before you remember 3 major points from it.
Wow.
I've seen people go to a week-long seminar. I'll pick Tony Robbins. Week-long seminar with Tony Robbins. How was it? Oh man, it was awesome. I walked on coals. I was in Fiji. I paid $15,000. It was awesome. I say, great. Tell me 3 things about Tony Robbins's main philosophy that you apply to your life. You know what they say? It
was good.
Be positive.
I took some pictures.
David Sandler, amazing sales trainer, psychotic nut job, but a good sales trainer. He's dead now, so I can say that. David Sandler said, you can't teach a kid to ride a bike at a seminar, right? And so people go to seminars and week-long retreats and they spend time with gurus, but they never change because there's no repetition. There's no reinforcement.
MJ, thank you. Because anybody who knows me know I say those exact words of what you just said. I said, you could take 50,000 and go to one of those big events, but when you come out of there, it's gone. And the best thing you probably can do is get some contact names of some people who spent 50,000. So now you might have that. But as for the knowledge, if you don't come out of there every day doing the same stuff, knowledge over and over and over, and listening to it over and over and over, and listening to it over and over and over, you just threw away 50 grand.
Yeah.
You know, people are like, yeah, I'm gonna pay for this high-end event, and I'm gonna pay for this. I'm gonna go, and I always used to ask people, tell me, you paid 50 grand. Tell me, what did you get?
Yeah.
I want to know, because I just need to know. Is it something they hiding out on, and you got to pay 50 grand to get? Yeah. I'm like, well, what is it? Man, you just got to be there.
Yeah, I was listening to Paul J. Meyer doing an audio the other day, and he said when people read books, he said, I found that people can read the entire book and you ask them what's in it and they can't tell you. He said that's why you need a thing called spaced repetition. You need repetition. Repetition and reinforcement are the parents of skill. If you want to be happier, if you want to be slimmer, if you want to be richer, if you, my wife and I are writing a book, Lean Body, Fat Bank Account. Right?
Yeah.
I want a lean body and a bulky, fat, nice fat bank account.
Yeah.
Right. So if you want that, you've got to listen. Now, look, you could say watch videos, but nobody has time to watch videos. But we are an on-the-go culture now.
Yeah, you put it in your ear. Well, you can listen to videos in your ear. Yeah, I got you. Yeah.
People go, I don't have time to watch videos. I go, listen to it.
Exactly.
Nimrod.
Yeah.
What are you talking? I can't watch the video. You don't got to watch the guy.
Listen to it. Yes.
Listen to the guy while you go out and you run.
Yes.
Why are you not?
Yes.
Why are you not doing 2 to 3 hours a day?
Of God. See,
that's sermons, right? Go ahead.
You are making me feel normal a little bit.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Because when you said, okay, I'll put it this way. If I'm making a sandwich, I got some kind of audio on. If I'm making up my bed, I got some kind of audio on. If I'm folding clothes, I got some kind of audio on. If I'm going out, I walk the Chattahoochee Trail, I got an audio on. If I go to the gym, I got something on. It's like, I don't understand why people don't get that.
Yep.
I don't understand that, because I guess people don't believe that they have to hear something a bunch of times to get it. I guess they think that, and I guess they think that Burger King is paying $10 million during the Super Bowl, $100 million, so you can see those commercials 8 times just to be shown it to you. Well, why you just don't need to see that one time? Because they can show it to you one time, right, and be done with it. No, they paying 100 million, 80, whatever they paying, so that you can see a Burger King commercial now, another Burger King commercial, another Burger King commercial, another Burger, because they know you have to see it a bunch of times to get it.
Can I share a story with you?
Okay.
So years ago, I took a course, a sales training course, and it cost $4,000 to take the course. And the course was good, and they had great trainers, but you had to go to a hotel, like every week to attend the course. Mm-hmm. And that was back in the 90s. Actually, the late 80s. And so what I would do.
That was a lot of money. That was a lot of money then.
That was, actually, I bought 2 seats. I bought a seat for myself and one of my salespeople.
Wow.
And what I did back then was I took a Panasonic cassette tape player, and I put it in front of the trainers. And every time, and they were good trainers. They were very professional and they were good. And so we'd go, like, say on average, you'd go once a week to a training for a couple of hours, right? And I would record them. And then the ones that I really liked, I would listen to them in my car as I went on my sales calls and did my various things. I was running a water treatment business at the time, and I was trying to become a top 10 dealer in that company. And so every time I sat in front of these guys, it says, okay to record you. Oh yeah, you paid for the seat. You can record me. So I would record these cassettes, and then I would listen to the cassettes in my car 10, 20, 30 times. Well, within 6 months, actually within 90 days, I was able to do the training as well as the trainers could do the training. And they said to me, how have you learned like how to do these complicated role plays and our procedures. And I said, dude, I got you on tape. I've listened to you do it 50 times in a row. How can I not know it?
Yeah.
But I want to say this, understand something. We've been taught in our country to sit in a class, listen to someone speak, try to take notes as fast as we can. All of you that went to high school and college, you were taught to take notes. Then you were taught to look in your notebook and then parrot back what you learned. 90% of it was lost in the hearing, and 80% of it was lost in the writing. Why did you not record your professor doing the lecture and listen to the lecture 10 times before the test? Our educational system sets people up to fail. There's no repetition. There's no repetition or reinforcement.
Right.
There's no repetition. I call this advanced audio learning. Okay. This is advanced audio learning. You have to understand that repetition and reinforcement are the parents of skill. You don't go to one class, take notes, and remember what you're supposed to know for the exam or the test. But if you recorded it and you listened to it 50 times, how would you do on the test?
Right.
Holy smokes.
Right.
I just gave you the secret to all learning in your life.
Couple of things. And I'm going to get killed for saying this. There are some subliminal repetitions that you got in the school system for coming to school every day. When that bell rang, when they say do certain things, we were conditioned and trained to do that. Now, as for learning information about, no, there's no repetition there, but that ain't what they're trying to teach us. You know what I'm saying? They're not trying to teach us that. They're trying to teach us to follow orders. When that bell ring, get in a single file line, all the subliminal stuff that was taught from the 1st grade to the 8th grade, and then from the 9th grade to the 12th grade, and even doing college. It's some subliminal stuff that we hear through repetition. That's why they want us there, 8 hours a day for 12 years. Now, as for the learning part that you're talking about, that they're teaching us to pass a test, no, it's not there. It's definitely not there at all. So they don't even do that. Second thing I want to say is when you talked about recording, that was something I used to do all the time in the 90s, early 90s. My mentor, did you know Ty Best? Tyrone Best? Okay. No. So he was a big time networker. He passed about a year and a half ago. But Ty used to, speak all the time. And this, so in the early 90s, it was not being recorded. I remember there was a event that he did in California that I went to. And I used to have my little cassette recorder. And anytime he'd talk, I come up and put it right there in front of him. And I didn't even have to ask because he knew I was going to do it. Right. And so he recorded. And I always told him for years, I said, Ty, I have heard you speak 300 times, 400 times. It's nothing you've done that can beat this little cassette that I got recorded from you that day when you got to talking for about an hour in front of that room, and he got fired up and he started, oh man, I said, I have it. I have that cassette that nobody else had because I was the only one recording you. And I said, you can't repeat that. Whatever got into you that day, you can't repeat that. But I used to listen to that all the time, man. I was always over and over and over and over again. I used to do that with Earl Nightingale, just over and over and over again. Repetition is key. You said that from the beginning. You have to condition your ear to hear, because look, I go back in your book sometimes and I don't even remember seeing something there. I'm like, did MJ sneak in here and include this in the book?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? No.
Yeah.
Repetition.
Yeah, absolutely. Repetition and reinforcement is so important. And what you were doing with those great tapes is you were capturing the spirit moving through him and inspiring him.
Oh.
And so you captured it on tape because the spirit was moving through him and releasing that, and then you got it. I mean, that's genius stuff to have it on a recording
Yep.
with somebody like that. I mean,
MJ, I used to tell people, sit up close as you can, because what you want to do is capture the heart of the speaker.
Yep.
Capture what they're really, how they really feel. Feel that vibration of them by being as close as you can to them. You're going to pick up some things that you don't pick up in the back of the room. So if you can get up close as you can, you're going to feel the heartbeat of that speaker. Yeah. Because there's some things that will be transferred to you that you don't get back there.
Yeah. Now here's another, this is kind of coming to me right now, but one of the other things about having that recording is that if you listen to the same recording 50 times and you get it into your mind and your heart and into your marrow, right? Into your sales marrow, into your success marrow. There's a good one.
Right.
If you get it into your success marrow, if you come back now, say 3 years later and listen to that again, it's like a completely different talk because of the way that you've progressed in your life. So I go back to Earl Nightingale and I listen to Earl Nightingale and I go, oh my gosh,
yes,
that's what he was saying 25 years ago. I go,
yes,
I got the Home Alone face, you know?
Yes,
you know? Right?
What was the guy? I don't know if you know the guy out in California. I don't know if he was
Brian
Clement. No. This guy was he was a pastor. He had a church in California that was open, like where the cars would pull up.
Robert Schuller.
Yes, exactly. Robert Schuller. So he had a speaker.
He called it the
Hour of Power. Yeah, Hour of Power. Yes. I used to love that Robert Schuller Hour of Power. Yeah. And so he had a speaker come in one day that spoke to his church, and he said that 2 years later the guy came back and he asked Robert Schuller, he said, what should I talk about? He said the same thing. He said, well, the people already heard that. He said, they different now. You know what I'm saying? They're gonna hear it differently now.
Yeah.
You know, I was like, wow. Yep. That's so true.
I went to the Crystal Cathedral. I sat in I went there back in the 80s. I was visiting in California, and my sister-in-law lived near there. And I went and spent a Sunday at the Crystal Cathedral. It was an amazing, amazing thing. Absolutely amazing.
I love watching that guy growing up. Yeah. I mean, Robert Schuller was my guy. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Yeah. So time is creeping up on us, man. Valerie always say, you can't talk, man. We're going to have to keep talking today because I don't know when I'm going to see MJ again, Valerie. So let's see.
Why not? No, Tony, here's the good news. I got a new book coming. Okay.
Well, I'll hear from you.
I got a new book coming. So when that book comes out, my son and I wrote this book on a lot of the stuff that I'm talking about today. It's called Grooves.
Can both of y'all come back?
Yeah. If I can get him, you know.
Okay.
He's busy.
I want him to tell me things about you I don't know, so that's a good thing there. So, all right. So in the book here it says why your friends and relatives don't necessarily want you to succeed. So why is that?
Nobody likes to be shown up. Nobody wants to hear that you got rich. Nobody wants to know that you're.
You mean your relatives who love you and
your own parents might not want you to be rich. Yeah, they don't want you to be rich, and people look. Every great idea, every amazing idea in America has been shot down, has been laughed at. They say that Robert Fulton, when he was building the steamboat, that people would literally publicly come by and look at the steamboat he was building and laugh hysterically that the thing would never work. The gentleman who invented the sewing machine, you would think the sewing machine was a pretty good invention, right? Well, that guy was so broke. He was going to a funeral. He had to borrow a suit of clothes to be able to go to a funeral. Yet he invented a sewing machine. You know what people said about sewing machines when he first invented it? Wow. Why would any person want to quickly sew things and make dresses and clothes fast when they could do it the old-fashioned way by stitching it by hand.
Right.
So every
Ford said that if he would have asked the American public, they would have said what they wanted was a faster horse.
Yep, absolutely. Yes. So when you say to your friends, I'm going to get rich, I found a great company, I've got some great products, they've changed my life. I love the products, they're helping me, I'm saving money, they changed my life. Nobody wants to hear that. And what they and your friends, relatives, and neighbors are going to say that's not going to work. That very few people succeed in that, and many people get shot down, like in network marketing and in direct selling or social selling. We're calling it now social selling, which is a great term because you need some new words. The word network marketing is a bad word, but social selling is pretty good, and social retailing is a good word.
Okay.
You're not gonna succeed at social retailing. It's not going to work. Many people get online. Many people don't make money. This is what your friends, relatives, and neighbors, people closest to you. It's kind of like you said, Tony. Look, we went to the school. The bell rang. We ate a ham sandwich. It was 3:00. We got on the bus. We did what they told us. Just do what we tell you.
Yeah, that's it.
Just do it. Just do what we tell you. Don't shine bright.
Stay within that box.
Stay right in there.
Yeah.
Just get a pension, get a government job.
Exactly.
Don't expect to be too happy.
No.
Pay your bills.
Yep.
That's why they don't want you to succeed. So when you go to them and you say, I'm going to succeed and I want you to come with me, that's a lot of people get blown out of selling or out of their business because people say to them, that'll never work. And that kills them. They hear that once and they're done.
This part of the book kind of helps with maybe that answer. And you talk about posture is everything. So what do you mean by that?
Yeah. So posture attracts people to you because you're not begging people. If you're begging people to accept your ideas, if you're pitching, if you're trying to persuade people, then people feel that pressure and people will resist you trying to sell them something. So a good posture means that you understand that you have the cookie. I've always said that you have the cookie, you have what they want. And I said in the book, it's kind of like when you are if you're interviewing for a job, the job interviewer has great posture. The person that's the applicant for the job has lower posture because they want what the job interviewer has. They want the job. They want the security. They want the cookie, right? So I said in this book, I said, you need to assume the posture of an interviewer to see if someone qualifies. Like we said before, do they want to change? Do they want more money? Are they unhappy with their life? Do they want to lose weight? Do they want to save money on their electric bill? Do they want to, you have to determine those things first before you ever start presenting. So the posture of the interviewer is, I have something and you should want it. And by having good posture means you're not chasing, you don't have what we used to call commission breath. You don't have the smell of, I need the sale. I want the sale. I want to sell you. And that's good posture. Just think of if you've ever been interviewed for a job, think of how the person, they had the power. This is called frame. And in neuro-linguistic programming and neuroscience, this is called frame. Right. The person that has the frame in the interaction is the one that's a little more powerful. You have to learn how to switch frame so that you become the one with something to offer and they want what you have to offer. And in many cases, what you have to do is you have to pull back a little bit and say, I don't know if this is really for you. I don't know if this is good for you. I don't know if you will like this. And quite frankly, this probably is not for you. And I need the person to say, now I really want you to tell me I'm really interested. Please sell me on this.
Yeah. And a lot of folks are afraid to pull it back because they think they might lose it. But if you have the right posture, you only lose what you're supposed to lose, I guess, if you have that.
People are attracted to strength.
Yes,
they're
true.
attracted to strength.
Right, yeah,
They're not attracted to weakness.
Yeah. Even in dating, it's like that.
Oh,
yeah, you're right.
Yeah,
I don't really need to be around you. Really, I just gotta.
Yeah. No,
what do you mean you don't need to be around? Okay.
Yeah.
You said else in the book, and this is based on once you get a person on the phone, because there's a different process now to how to get them. But when you get them on the phone, you say, listen for all the things that are happening in the background. What do you mean by that?
Yeah. So, for those who have ears to hear this, right? So, you want to look for cues that tell you what's going on with the person. So you want to have you want to be listening. I say in the book, with the ears of a kit fox, right? You want to listen for machinery, babies crying, anything that you can listen to that will help you to bond with the prospect or understand what they're going through. And if you've ever had telemarketers call you, they will ignore everything that's going on in your life, and they will just read through a script. Well, people hate that. So what I would do is, if I would hear some machinery going in the background, I would say, boy, it sounds like you're producing a lot of equipment there in your company. It sounds like your sales are good. Or if I was calling a homeowner, I'd say, I hear those kids screaming in the background. They sound like a bunch of fireballs. How many kids you got? So listen, use directional hearing and really listen to what's going on in your prospect's office. You might hear announcements. You might hear speakers going off. You could even hear. I can hear people cooking dinner. If you hear somebody cooking dinner, well, how about eating dinner? Do you know what? I don't have any silverware here. I have a glass, right? Do you know what silverware sounds like on plate?
Right.
You know what it sounds like, right?
Yeah.
You hear the plates. You hear the banging of silverware on plates. You say, oh my gosh, have I called you in the middle of dinner?
Yes.
So if you're gonna make prospecting calls, be aware of what your prospects are going through.
Right.
Look, here's what you want to do in sales. Get ready for this. This is very powerful. Do not miss this. Okay. And write this down and listen to it 15 times. Okay. You in sales, you want to play every ace. You want to play every ace, which means that every 1% that you can get better will help you to sell more. So, for example, you want to be able to read a personality, understand a person's personality within the first 30 seconds of meeting them. Now, you may have to learn the DISC model or, some strength finder type model in order to observe people. But when I talk to somebody on the phone or in person, I know in 30 seconds whether they're a dominator, an expressive, or they're a relator, or they're a detailer. Okay. I put them in one of four categories. That's 1%. That's 1%. But then I read body language. Are they agreeable? Are they nodding with me? I'm nodding with them. Are they not? That's another 1%, right? Okay. Voice modulation. If I'm on the phone, I match and mirror your voice. I have a whole chapter on matching and mirroring with the same volume and the same tone. Okay. I don't talk, hey, Tony, how you doing? If you're going, right. Hi, MJ, how are you today? I don't go, oh, Tony, I'm really excited. No. Well, that's nice, but I don't really like you, MJ. You sound like a wacko, right? That's another 1%. We're only up to 3%. See, sometimes people study a personality system. They'll study personalities. A lot of trainers have fallen into this the last 30 years. All they teach is personality because it's fun. And what's your personality? What's your wife's personality? Right. It's fun. You can turn it into a 3-hour talk or a seminar.
Right.
Problem is, it's only 1%. So you got to play every ace. You have to be learning everything about using your ears, about using your eyes, about connecting. Like I learned NLP in the beginning and matching and mirroring people. right? I thought that was the key to selling. It's only 1%.
Right.
Okay. Now, if you add 100 of those things up, guess what? People say, you know what people say to me? They say, I don't even know why I'm buying from you, but I just feel so comfortable with you. I'm just going to go ahead and do this on faith because I feel like you know what you're doing.
Right.
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 And that's because I've got 100 different things that I've
yeah.
become good at doing.
Right. Yeah.
So don't ever think like you take one course, like NLP. Oh, once I learn NLP, I'll have it.
Yes.
No, you got 1%.
Yeah. But you know, it's people selling that kind of stuff out here big time. I know a guy who's selling that one thing that if you get this, which is the personalities, that your whole life is going to change and you're going to skyrocket. And you know, I know a lot of people who've gone to do that, but it's more than that. But you know, when you listen to somebody who's winning in life financially, you want to believe them, like a Tony Robbins or somebody who says that kind of stuff. But I agree 100% that it's much more than that. And like you said, playing that ace is so important when you're trying to. Okay, here's another thing. Let me ask you this: somebody who's listening who has a problem with sales and think that now they're going to say, which they've said before, why do you have to come up with all these techniques and stuff that you have to use? It feels like you're tricking a person. And why do you have to do that?
Yeah. So the answer there is that the most influential people in our world over history have been the greatest persuaders in the world. Now, you don't want to think of Martin Luther King as a
salesman. Yeah, but he was.
But I'm going to tell you something.
Yes. Not only, he was.
That dude could close.
Yes. Yeah. Hey, I'm going to tell you somebody who people hate. Hitler.
And a great closer.
Exactly.
I mean, he understood the power of suggestion like nobody has in history. He had billboards, sides of buildings.
Yes.
He had slogans, chants. You want to look at a really good marketing program? Look at Hitler's program. Amazing, right? Okay, let's be a little more positive. Mother Teresa, they say that Mother Teresa's foundation, when she died, had over $1 billion in it. You going to tell me that little lady couldn't sell?
No.
She sold like crazy.
But
you know what? People that can persuade people to do things, they are the people that are influencers. They also are the people that become the wealthiest and the freest. Become a persuader. Don't look at sales. Stop looking at sales as some manipulation. It's not manipulation. A good persuader, a good mother persuades her children to live a godly life.
Right.
She persuades them.
Yeah, it's like people don't realize that these folks that you look up to have learned these techniques. They have learned the way to present. They have, Trump is a good salesman, even though he uses, people think he's kind of like, he doesn't use the right word. He uses the perfect words for the world that we live in. He's hitting people with the same little stuff over and over and over and over. And he knows how to persuade people. You know what I'm saying?
Persuasion is good. Shouldn't teachers persuade their students to learn?
Yeah.
They should. Shouldn't pastors persuade their congregants to live a God-filled life?
Right.
Sure. Yes.
Should attorneys persuade the jury? It's always, we can just change the term from sales to persuasion. It's the same thing. You know what I'm saying? It's the power of persuasion. But people, when they hear that word sales, boy, they just, oh God, no, don't want to be that.
What do you think a coach does when he comes in halftime and his team is getting
He's selling his team on, going back out there to win. Yeah.
He's persuading, motivating, and inspiring. That's all sales is.
Yes, it's all.
That's all sales is. And if you're going to be good in any job, if you're going to be good, I don't care if you're in accounting, you think you're not in sales. I don't care if you pump gas. I don't care if you're on an oil rig. I don't care. I don't care what your job is.
Right.
You become a good persuader. You become a good motivator. You become a good inspirer. You will get promoted. You will get increases. and you will put $2 to $5 million in your retirement account, which is what you need. I watched the guy from Shark Tank the other day. He goes, once you make 5 million, he said, put that away in a secure place. Now you can do anything you want.
Wow.
He goes, because once you have 5 million, you can live off the interest pretty well.
Yes.
Even if the interest is low, even if the economy's crash, put it in a secure place. He said, once you make your first 5 million, bank that, and then the world's your freaking oyster, right? Then go for it.
You do what you want.
Right? Yeah. But most people don't understand. The first thing they should do is they should look to put $1 million in their account.
Yeah.
And then 2 million. And if you want to live frugally, 2 million, you can live on that interest. But if you're not progressing toward that, then become a persuader and become an inspirer and a motivator, and you'll get pay raises and you'll be able to build that retirement account.
Yeah, in this capitalistic system and through the school system, that's not taught. So when people grow up hearing, what they're hearing is, if I go work somewhere for 40 years, then I'm gonna have some money put away. Now they should know that that's not there anymore. They should, if it ever was there. I don't know if it was, but maybe it's something that you can live off of. But it's not talked about throughout the system to go do that. It's almost talked about. It's almost make you feel bad if you're going to try to make $1 million or $2 million or $3 million. You shouldn't do that. That's no. That's you're a bad person if you do that. So let me go through this because we gotta run through some of these. How your number of daily dials and your prospect list work against you. What did you mean by that? I don't know if we're still doing it that way now, but how did that work against you during that time? Or what do you mean by that?
Well, what I meant by that is that people typically would set a goal that they could never hit. So they would say, do 100 dials a day.
Right. I got you.
But you'll never do that.
You're right.
You'll never do 100 dials. So So whenever I'd do a training, right? And I'd say, how many dials are you going to do? And they go 100. And I'd be like, BS. You're not going. You set these goals and you never hit them, and they don't satisfy you. You would be better to say that by noontime, I'm going to have 10 great conversations with people. There's a friend of mine out in California. His name is Fred Wilson, and he's a real estate genius. And he says that every day you need to have 10 conversations with people about real estate. And he says, if you're in the real estate business, you need to be talking about homes and about change. Because he says in real estate, you understand that everybody needs shelter. Everybody needs shelter, and there's change is always coming. So people either want to downsize, upsize, have a second home, a vacation home, and you need to talk to 10 people a day to get into the conversations. And he said, and that way you'll be able to sell 10 homes a month, right? Which is a lot of, a lot, way more than average. So you want to find ways to get into conversations rather than just dialing and leaving messages. You want to find out ways to get face to face, even if it's only 5 people a day. If I have 3 good conversations on Zoom with prospects per day, that's a really good day. Sometimes I go 5 or 6, depending on how our marketing is going. And then I know that the pipeline is getting filled up and it's going to be a huge windfall for us. The more people I talk to, the more people I connect to on video, like we're doing today.
Yeah.
If I can do that 3 times a day, I'm going to see success in 30, 60, 90 days.
Wow.
Yeah.
Cool. Another thing too, I forgot when you was talking about the steam engine guy, it made me think about, and Valerie texted me about Walt Disney. You remember how Walt Disney used to say, he said he used to talk to 14 or 15 people about his new ideas. And he said, if anybody said, I like that, he was scratching. He said he wanted everybody to say, hell no, that's not going to work. What's wrong with you? He said he wanted everybody to say that. But if somebody said, yeah, that might work, he'll scratch it.
Yeah. Yeah.
What do you think about the whale hunters versus the warriors? And now this is in this book, The Activity Hustle and the Power of Action.
Yeah.
What are you talking about with whale hunters and the warriors?
Well, look, one of the problems that people have is they often get very excited about getting the big customer, the big deal, and getting the whale, right? Because that's exciting, right?
Right.
I got GE to buy our program. I know you said it before. I know a guy.
Yeah.
I know a gal who could do this.
Yes,
I know she's up in the gym.
Well, if he gets it, it's over with. Yeah.
Yeah. And so the Warriors, it's the idea of that is if you run into a whale, that's great. But usually it's the small deals on a consistent basis that really build your wealth. And like in networking, rather than going for that guy, that gal that's going to be huge, you'd probably be better off with like 10 really good people that just do consistent actions and are not superstars. Like if you had 10 people that were doing half of what you were doing in social retailing, you'd probably make 200 to 300 grand a year depending on the social retailing program. Right. So I like consistency and I really enjoy working and I really enjoy setting new destinations. So that's what pulls me forward is consistently talking to people and going for the next. Now, sometimes the deals get bigger and bigger, which is cool. But I got to tell you, we have an internal podcasting business and we just did it. We just did a ton of Zoom calls with people that needed messaging for their corporations. And Corey and I we were on 5 calls a day with people saying, what is this internal podcast that you do? And we invented a way to do internal podcasts for companies and do messaging and training with a podcast. And it shot off into a multi-million-dollar business for us.
Wow.
But in the beginning, literally at the end of the day, we would be like, man, I can't do another. I can't do another Zoom call. I got these lights. I got 5 different lights in my studio here, burning the shit out of my eyes.
I know.
So at the end of the day, we'd be like, oh man, but consistently every day, the small accounts add up to, they literally add up to generational wealth.
Yeah. I had a guy who was doing, he was starting a business up and he had this presentation he would do and he was looking for investors and he would go and sit down with investors and talk for like 2.5 hours. And he did that for maybe 5 months, talking to 1 or 2 people a day before he even got his investment money. But he said, people think that it was easy for me to do this. He said, they don't know my story behind the scene, what I did. He said, it was one guy that he sat down with for 2.5 hours. And at the end, the guy says, now, what is it that you do? I'm not about to go over this again for 2.5 hours with you. I had to move on. But he's like, I went through the numbers and people didn't see that part. That's how it works. And it kind of goes back to this last thing I want to talk. Is this the last one in the book here? No, it might be one more. But you say, no, it might be this one. Math, M-A-T-H, runs the world. Math runs the world. What are you saying about that?
Yeah. There still is a lot to be said for doing the numbers on a regular basis. So, you can't beat the numbers, so, that's why you have to come up with your number. Most people fiddle fart around with their prospecting, what I call now opportunity outreach. Okay.
Yeah, that's good.
You have to have a whole new lexicon. You got to
I
understand.
got you. Opportunity outreach.
If you're talking to your people about prospecting, you're talking
Yeah.
about 1912 Dale Carnegie stuff. Yeah, remember 1912, the Titanic went down, right? So don't be using Dale Carnegie's words. I'm not saying that Dale Carnegie's techniques weren't good, but you have to rename
Change.
them.
Yeah, exactly.
The mind
Yeah.
goes,
Right.
oh yeah, prospecting.
Prospecting.
But your opportunity
Yes.
outreach, math runs the world, because you've got to decide, did I do my 10 calls? Did I get 10 conversations today?
Right.
And if you didn't get 10 conversations, you got to say tomorrow, and then the next day, and the next day. And you'll usually, if you look at your tracker, I put a tracker in here. If you look at your tracker and you go, did I talk to 50 people this week about my product, service, or my idea? Most people won't come close. But I'm telling you, what you need is you need 50 phone to ear video calls at the grocery store, in a seminar, on a webinar. You need 5 to 10. I think 10 per day is good. 10 per day is that. Now, that doesn't mean a full presentation. But by the way, I know we're running short here, but you mentioned the telling the story. Can I show your audience how to tell that 2.5 hour story?
Yes. Go ahead.
Okay. Let me tell you the story of Double Your Contacts.
Okay.
All right. See if you can time me. Okay.
Okay.
Here's the story of Double Your Contacts. I was 43 years old. My wife divorced me. I was living in a little apartment. No, actually, I just moved back into my house. My son, Corey, came to live with me. I had no income other than some consulting income that I had. My expenses were $10,000 a month, and I was pulling in $2,000 a month in sales training. I was in deep, deep trouble. Every morning, I wondered if I would be able to survive and take care of my son, Corey, who was 10 years old at the time. I met a gentleman who heard me speak at a network marketing event. He called me up and he said, we need to meet for breakfast. Turned out he was a Diamond Direct in Amway. He said to me, you need to write a book. I said, I do. He said, if you write a book, I will put you in front of 3,000 people. I said, nobody has 3,000 people. I speak to 50 people, 100 people. Nobody has 3,000 people. He goes, I didn't know anything about network marketing.
Right.
I got 3,000 people. I wrote the book. He liked the book. The book was Double Your Contacts. The first time I spoke about Double Your Contacts, I went to Hamilton, Ontario. There were 3,000 people in the audience. I had never spoken to 3,000 people. I didn't know how to speak to 3,000 people. I spoke that day in front of 3,000 people. We sold 3,000 books.
Wow.
That is the story of how Double Your Contacts was written. It took me 8.5 months to write it. Every morning I wrote Double Your Contacts. I would then get Corey up for school. I would get up at 5:30 in the morning, right till 6:30 or 7, get Corey up to school. And then the rest of the day, try to figure out how to pay my bills because I was going under.
Right.
Okay. I owed the IRS $265,000. The sales from this book paid off the IRS.
Wow.
We sold 330,000 copies. One team bought 58,000 copies.
Wow.
Charlie Tremendous Jones sold 27,000 copies for us to one team. He called me Tremendous MJ. He called me up. He said, I've got your book, Tremendous MJ. I love your book, Tremendous MJ. I'd like to buy 27,000 of them. That we took that money and paid off the IRS.
Charlie was my guy too, man. I used to have our team order books from his company, and your book might have been even on his, because he had all these books that I would order directly from him. He always had a nickname for people because he called me Tony Fleming. You're the book evangelist. That's what you are. You're the book evangelist. So, yeah, Charlie was great.
Now I want everybody to understand what I just did. Okay. When you tell a story, you got to stop selling.
That was drill. 2.5. It was 2.5 minutes too.
2.5 minutes. Stop. Now, did that story wow you? Did that story impact you?
Yeah. Yes.
Stop selling the freaking drill. Okay. Stop leading with your product. There's 3 elements to a story. Number 1, there's the protagonist. There's the person in the story, the role. Here's what I just did. MJ was the guy in the role, right? Number 2, MJ had a desire. Okay. What was my desire? To raise my son, right? And to raise my son and recover from a divorce.
Mm-hmm.
What was my conflict? My conflict was I had no money. And I was in big trouble. When I told you that part of the story, did you go, oh man, you got divorced, raising your son by yourself? Wow. Okay. So I have a conflict. And then I had an answer. My answer was my product or my service. Don't do it backwards. Don't go, I've got a solar project. Don't sell the solar first. Sell the story. You and the story. What was the desire? What is the conflict? Right? Don't sell the roof. Sell the story first and make the connection for the person. And once you make the connection, now that I've made that connection, people are going, boy, I really want to buy that book.
Right.
2.5 minutes. 2.5 minutes. The role, desire, conflict, the answer. Bam.
Wow. Man, that's some classic stuff there, man.
Yep.
I said that was the last one, but I kind of stressed the truth on that one. This is the one I really want you to talk about too, because I just talked about this the other day, and a lot of people don't like hearing this one. And they really don't. Balance is a myth. Balance is a myth.
Yeah. Well, balance equates with being under the shroud of the shroud and the cloud of denial, right?
Yeah.
So if you're balanced, you're probably comfortable. If you're balanced, they won't like this one. You're fat and happy.
Yes.
Yes. You're settled. You're not setting new destinations.
Yeah.
If you're not setting new destinations, look, when you set a new destination, guess what happens? Your balance gets all screwed up.
Yes.
Right? If you're going to set new destinations, if you want to go somewhere in life, I don't care if you've got the 5 million in the bank. You got the 5 million in the bank. What's your destination? Right? I was listening to Louise Hay talk the other day. Louise Hay, the owner of Hay House Publishing.
Right.
She goes, when I was 65, I took a ballroom dancing class. When I was 70, I started gardening. When I was 80, I started this, right?
Right.
She's like,
you got to keep stretching.
Always setting new destinations.
Yeah.
So balance is a myth. You don't want to be. If you're balanced, you're probably going backwards.
Right.
When people meet me, they haven't seen me in 5 to 10 years, they go, MJ, you're more on fire than you were when you were 40.
Right.
And I'm 62 now.
Right.
So, I got more fire in my eyes. I have more energy in my body because I keep setting new destinations.
Right.
I invented the podcast company. I said to my son, I think we should do internal podcasts for companies. And my son goes, Dad, that's not even a thing. You can't even do an internal podcast. That doesn't even make sense. Podcasts are external. So we wrote some software and we invented an internal podcast.
Well, wait a minute. Tell me, that's the second time you said that. How does that work?
Yeah. So we invented a way that we could do the podcast. We could go into a company and we could record. What we do is we interview the people in the company to give us, best practices, what they love about the company, all the great things the company's doing, right? And then we put that in a podcast, and then we make that podcast with the software we developed. We make that podcast available only to the people in the company. So we do podcasts for Pfizer. We've done podcasts for AutoZone. We've done podcasts for Dollar General. We've done learning and development podcasts inside of companies, and they're only accessible to the people that receive an email and subscribe to the podcast. So that way it's not broadcast to the world. You can't find the podcast anywhere.
Right.
You can't find the Thomas Thor podcast, which is a podcast we do for a recruiting company in the nuclear business. You can't find the podcast, but every other week a training episode comes out for that company, and we've interviewed the top performers in that company, and then we put that across on a podcast.
Wow. Okay.
Right. And then they're able to hear the top performers and all of their secrets. Every 2 weeks, they get a new episode, but it's all internal just for the people in that company.
That's cool, man. That's a good idea. Now they can't share it outside of the company.
Nope.
You can't put it on YouTube or nothing like that. It's only within.
Yep.
Oh, that's cool. Wow.
Yeah. So it keeps the information proprietary. I mean, obviously, if somebody really wanted to hack it, they could figure it out. But it's it's not that important. So so we came up with that idea, and it's been a multi-million-dollar winner for us.
Man, they say it's plenty of money out here. You just got to think about how to get it. It's not like it's not out there. Just got to come up with an idea and work it.
I looked at a company. We talked to a company yesterday about doing a podcast for them. They were started in 2012. They're a technology company. I read what they do. I don't even understand what they do. Okay. Right. I don't even understand it. Application structure, blah, blah, blah. Inside of they have 2,000 employees. They started in 2012. In 2012, it's only 11 years ago, they invented some technology that's used in technology stuff.
Right.
And they have 2,000 people. And the gal says to me, she's the director of talent development. And she says, I would love to have our own internal podcast to communicate with our 2,000 people who are all around the world. She goes, I love this idea. I can't believe you guys came up with this. But the point is what you just said, 2012, a company now has 2,000 employees. How many multi-millions of dollars? I haven't made that much money in 11 years. Right. The ideas are there for you. It could be a social retailing company. It could be a new market. It could be saving people money. It could be writing a book. It could be developing a process. It could be designing your own jewelry. It could be showing people on YouTube how you do your greenhouse stuff in your garden. Holy smokes. There are 200 ways. I want to say this to everybody right now because the Spirit is speaking to me right now. There are 200 ways for money to come into your family right now.
Right now.
There are 200 ways. All you need to do is tune into them and start deciding which ones are best for you. And the best way to do that is to tune in every day in silence for about 15 minutes and ask the question, what's a new way that I could create wealth, make money, protect my family, and give my family what they want? There are 200 ways for every single one of you to bring income in.
Wow. We could actually that was a Mike Tyson punch right there. So we can actually end with that one. We can actually end with that one.
It's right cross, left cross, jab, right?
Man, let people know how you can be reached and the best way to be reached.
Well, they can't.
We got your website scrolling across the screen, so they're going to see that. But
yeah. I think that's an old website. So that might not help them.
Wait a minute, MJ Durkin seminars is not up.
Yeah, maybe not. We got so many new things going on.
Okay.
So if you really want to reach me, contact Tony.
I'll reach out to you.
Contact Tony if you really want to reach. If you're really ready for change.
Yeah, exactly.
You got to be really ready because
I am be ready.
Because MJ ain't playing. I'm not playing.
I'm gonna screen you.
Yeah. Listen. Yeah. So Yeah. You can try to find my email address out there.
All right.
And yeah, you'll
I got
find
you.
me.
We will.
Yeah.
We'll make sure they be able to reach out to you.
Yeah.
Through me or through somebody. We got you. Email.
If you go, oh my gosh, this is the most amazing 1 hour and 38 minutes I've ever seen in my life.
Right.
Which, I have to admit, it was pretty damn good.
Yeah, it was. It really was. All right, folks. Go hit the subscribe button. Y'all know what y'all need to do. Hit the all button, all that. And the third most famous MJ in the world, MJ Durkin, sir. And I appreciate you being here. We're going to get you back, you and your son. We're going to get you back when that new book comes out. All right? All right. We out of here, sir. Talk to you later. Thank you.
Success to everyone.
Many people wonder if there's a secret to winning lottery games. The answer is yes. Winners only Lotto. Discover how to make $1,000, $10,000, or even $225,000 daily by playing the right games with the highest odds. The games to focus on are Pick 3, Pick 4, and in some states, Pick 5. Utilizing AI to track patterns in these games simplifies winning, with millions being distributed every day. This information can be easily verified on any official state lottery website. Join today or get more information by clicking the link below. See you on the winning side.
Make sure that you like and subscribe and hit the all button and all that kind of stuff, because we're going to have a lot of good interviews on this podcast.